Hi, everybody. I'm Barb,
I'm Randine,
And I'm Camille.
and
and
this is
this is
our
Sclero-What.
What?
Adventure.
Cheers.
Happy Scleroderma Awareness Month, everyone. We are so happy to be coming to you every single day with a new scleroderma story from the people that live with it. We believe that the best way for you to learn about scleroderma is the people that actually do live with it on a daily basis. And we are so excited. We are bringing a baby to you today, you guys. She is brand newly diagnosed. And welcome, Camille. We're so happy you have joined us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And so tell us, when were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed just this past March, so
So,
not very long ago.
so not very long ago, 4 months ago.
Yes,
Yes. And which form of scleroderma were you diagnosed with?
limited cutaneous.
Okay.
So I have finger or hand involvement, and then I also have some heart involvement as well, so for
Okay.
organ involvement.
Yep. And when you say hand involvement, what does that mean?
That means that when I first, my first symptoms were Raynaud's, which when your fingers turn colors, but that quickly escalated to, I think they call it digital ischemia, where your fingers develop ulcers or sores that are really, really painful and really, really difficult to heal.
Mhm. Yeah, really, really painful, right?
Yes, they're just incredible. Like you can't even believe like how your fingers can hurt so much. It's crazy. Uh,
Yes. And
and then
how
shortly
many?
after that, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
No, you go right ahead, Camille. I was
Oh,
just gonna say, how many ulcers did you have?
I had three that were actually open ulcers, and then I had another one that was just kind of sitting there waiting to like decide if it was going to open up or not. So yeah, so I walked around with like my hands covered. I just have one covered now, but with my fingers covered, and I did everything I could. Like they have, different rubber finger cots or latex finger cots. I had gauze over them as well just to protect them, and then they had these giant like foam cots or whatever that made me look like a clown a little bit because they were just so big. Um, but they were just so painful. Like if you and you don't realize like how much you use your hands and how your hands kind of knock on different things. So I just was doing everything I could to protect them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And did you keep them dry? Did you keep them wet? What was your?
Well, that's so interesting because there's lots of different philosophies out there about how to manage them. So I started with just keeping them dry. And then I read about Manuka honey, and I read this crazy kind of concoction where you soak them in peroxide. So that worked for like a couple of days where I thought, oh, this is working until it wasn't working. And as soon as I put my fingers in there, it was like they were on fire. So then I found colloidal silver,
Mm-hmm.
and that seemed to help as well. But it wasn't until I was diagnosed and actually went to a wound care clinic that I got a really good solution to it, which was it's called iodine, and it's an iodine ointment basically. Um, so the instructions were to keep it really really clean. Every day, wash your hands and wash it with a saline solution to kind of sterilize it. Dry it off, put a little dab, and literally it took like just a little bitty dab right on the ulcer, and then cover them up, similar to this. And that really helped a lot too. So
Mm.
keep it dry and keep it covered.
Uh-huh. Yes. And then you told us though that through your diagnosis that you went to Mayo Clinic with, then they also gave you or came up with another.
Yes. So when I went to Mayo Clinic, I went to the vascular center there and saw a specialist, and they have there a special. It's called an Art Assist pump, and basically it's a pump that has tubes that come out of either side, and they're like cuffs that like there's three cuffs that you put on both hands, and you turn it on. It runs for an hour, and it basically just like squeezes to squeeze circulation to your fingers. Because what happens is, for me, with the which is why they knew it was how they diagnosed with scleroderma, is that your fingers and your capillaries um, are supposed to be kind of just kind of pink um, and bright there, but what happens is your capillaries get really, really damaged. So they're supposed to look like perfect little like loops, and each finger typically has about 16 loops in it. Mine looked like splashed raspberries. Like it was just like, holy moly, when I saw that through the test. So the Artisys pump is supposed to do a couple of things: increase circulation to your fingers, to open up those capillaries and help to get them the blood flowing through them. But then for the capillaries that are destroyed, it's really hard to grow them back. But hopefully the Artisys is going to kind of start producing little baby capillaries that'll start to reproduce. And then some of the residual symptoms that I have, like just constant hypersensitivity. So even though the ulcers are healed, you always kind of feel like your fingers are just really hypersensitive, and it's still like picking things up is kind of hard, and typing is really hard because they kind of borderline hurt, on the worst days, or they're just annoying on other days.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, what a miracle, honestly, that you got the pumps. And what's it called again?
Artisys.
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 Okay. Artisys.
Artisys.
Is it all one word?
I believe it's capital ART, capital ASSIST.
Okay.
So
Artisys.
you can, if you Google it, you can find it online, but to my knowledge, Mayo Clinic is the only place that you can actually get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. How fat? I mean, honestly, you're talking to a girl who's lived with scleroderma for a long time. So a baby compared to an old lady, pretty much. And so it's just honestly amazing and awesome for me to hear about the new things that they're doing to help patients and with the fingers and all of that stuff. I mean, honestly, like it's kind of mind blowing to me that they think that they could create new capillaries and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I know exactly what you mean when you say the raspberries exploded and all that. That's what our fingers look like under a microscope.
yeah, it's crazy. And you just wonder, like, how did that even happen without me really like realizing it, or just so fast?
Exactly. Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. So tell us, and this should be pretty easy because it's not that long ago. So tell us one thing you would tell your pre-diagnosis self.
Listen closely to your body, and whether it's saying something's wrong, or I'm tired, or I'm stressed out, I need to take a step back. Just really listening to yourself. I talk a lot about self-care, but I'm not so good at it. And so, stepping back and taking that moment, or turning down things that, not taking on that additional workload or whatever it might be, is really super important. It's just important to take care of yourself and put yourself first, which a lot of people don't think is the right way to do it. But unless you're taking care of yourself first, you can't take care of anyone else.
Exactly. And so, and I know you've only lived with scleroderma for a short time, but what is one blessing that scleroderma has brought into your life?
Oh, that's such a tough question. There's a lot. I mean, I think the biggest thing is just the support of my family and friends, which I knew was already there. But when I was in the hospital when I got diagnosed for like over a week, and when I got home, I had people calling saying, "Can I come help you clean? Can I help you, do whatever?" And I would say no, because that's the other thing. Like, you have to be willing to accept help. And I had people showing up with like their mop bucket saying, "I'm coming and I'm helping you clean," or bringing me, food, just so that, my favorite food and stuff like that. So that's been a really big blessing. Mm-hmm. And then given the opportunity to kind of take a step back and not necessarily start over, but you can start from where you are to kind of make improvements.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes. And so this is your first Scleroderma Awareness Month. So tell us, what does your very first Scleroderma Awareness Month mean to you?
Well, it's pretty special. I mean, I think I've had a couple people that are like, "Holy macaroni, like you're doing this and you just got diagnosed." And I'm like, I don't even really know much about it. I'm still learning, for sure. But that's one of the reasons why I was excited that it was June, just so I could get more information and spread it out as well to other people, because so many people haven't heard of it. I hadn't really heard of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very special.
Yes. And tell us, what is one thing that you want everyone to know about scleroderma?
I think that it's just, this sounds really bad, but there's no cure. I think when people hear that you have like a chronic illness, they're like, oh, it's gonna get better. And obviously you have days where you're like, yeah, it is gonna get better, but you know, it's a slow road. And the other thing is that it's random, you know, like you can start off with one thing and there's just so many different branches that you can, that it can morph into. And if you're a control freak like me and a structured person like me, that's really, really a difficult thing to grasp and, you know, and understand and to like accept, because we want a path. We want to know like what's the next steps and what are we going to do, and not to hear that like, oh, it can actually turn into, you know, lungs, or it can turn into, you know, whatever it might be at any moment. So yes. And then if I could also say, for people who are supporting, or friends or family of people that have autoimmune issues or scleroderma, like just really taking a second and listening, you know, to what they're saying, because I think it's easy, especially when you don't look sick, to have people be like, oh, you can do this. What's this extra thing? Like, I'm just asking you to do whatever. And you're saying, nope, I'm really tired. I have to take care of myself. And sometimes people get mad. Like, I can remember when I was younger, actually, because I have another autoimmune disorder, and people getting really upset if I would be like, I may say like on Monday, sure, Friday night sounds great to go out. And Friday comes and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, there's no way. And just instead of putting that person down or being, obviously you can be disappointed, but just kind of taking a step back and saying, okay, you take care of you. That's the most important thing.
Great message. I love that. I love that. Good ones. Okay. Now it's time for Random Randine.
Well, Barb, I'm going to start with you, because when go back to when you were first diagnosed, you know, Camille, here she is today, 4 months down the road. Do you think you would have been as brave as her to jump on to like this platform and chat?
I don't know. I don't know. I actually just watched my wedding video recently, and I was diagnosed just 6 months after my wedding. And I don't know that I'd be so like ready to chat it up on a video. But I will say though that I know that after my diagnosis, like I was searching for information. I mean, and again, it was before the World Wide Web and all that. So, you know, we live in a very different world, 27 plus years later. And I would hope that if I was diagnosed right now, absolutely, I would be jumping on and doing exactly what Camille did today. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you two are connecting, and Barb, you're learning stuff from somebody newly diagnosed, and Camille's going to learn a lot from you too. So, Camille, jumping into my Random Randine questions. What is the bravest thing you have ever done? Besides like taking candy from us two knuckleheads and joining us on social media. Hey, little girl, you want some candy?
A little simple interview. Oh boy, I would say my husband and I, when we were first dating, I think we weren't even a year in, and we decided to go to Costa Rica for a vacation, and we just kind of thought either this is going to make or break the relationship. And he is a daredevil. I am definitely not. And I did zip lining. And I was scared out of my mind. And I actually tried to back out like several times as the Jeep was going up and up the mountain, and it kept going up and up and up. I'm like, there's no way I'm doing this. I'm not doing it. But like once you're up there, they're not taking you back down with the Jeep. So you have to.
So you don't have a lot of choice. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a very nice guide who literally talked me down every single stop. And they told me, I remember that they told me like I would like at some point like halfway through that they would take me back down like a landing point, and that was not true. So they had to do the whole thing. So,
yeah. They only told you what you needed to hear at that moment.
Yep.
How about you, Barb? What's the bravest thing you've ever done?
I would say the bravest thing I ever done is out in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand, they used to have the rope thing that they pull you up and then they let you go, and it's like a pendulum, and you swing back and forth. And I did it with one of my best friends, Jennifer, and she had to talk me into it. It took her all day to talk me into it. And then she talked me into it. We went and did it like right before they closed. And the whole time they were like pulling us up, and because we're strapped together in this thing. And she was talking the whole way up. And I just said, Jennifer, shut up. Like, I can't listen to you right now. Like, shut up. Like, I'm just praying all the way up for God to keep me to live through this ordeal. But let me tell you, after we did it, I thought it was the best thing I'd ever done.
So she's an adrenaline junkie now.
She is, yeah, no, I'm not. Jennifer still is.
You are. You do all those roller coasters and crazy things I don't do. So go you. For those of you, I don't know if we said, Camille is in Wisconsin, and you know what team that competes is against my Vikings. So Camille,
Vicky, you and Camille can hook up together.
Yeah. Stay in your state.
It's the winning state.
So, Camille, do you have any, or have you had a celebrity crush?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I have to say,
Brett Favre too?
Donald Driver. So I actually got a chance to meet him. My friend had a fundraiser at her house, and so I went there and I got a picture with him, and he smelled so good, and my friend got to dance with him because he was on Dancing with the Stars and she was doing ballroom dancing. So I would say that's close to it. Like, that was on cloud nine.
Did you get pictures of yourself with him?
Yes, I have one picture that my mom even has on her refrigerator still.
Oh, nice.
But every time that pops up on my Facebook feed, I message Emily, who's my friend who danced with him, and I was like, remember how you smelled so good? She's like, yes.
He's retired now, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you, Barb? Any celebrity crushes?
Oh, my celebrity crush for sure is Matthew McConaughey. That's Matthew McConaughey. I'd be at every single Texas football game ever if you told me that I had any chance at all of actually meeting him or something. I would be at every game. But my coolest celebrity story is that I actually met Billy Baldwin at a pool out in LA. I went out to LA with Jennifer, one of my best friends, and she actually stayed back in the room. She had just had her first baby, and so she was still recovering from having her first baby. I talked her into going out to LA with me. And so she wanted to rest and sleep, honestly, because she had been staying up all night with the baby. And I'm like, you can stay in the room and rest. I'm going out and getting sun, and I'm laying at the pool. And I went out there. I was laying at the pool by myself in my bikini. And lo and behold, a guy came up and started talking to me. And honest to God, as soon as he started talking, I'm like, holy crap, this is Billy Baldwin. This is Billy Baldwin. Like, you couldn't tell by looking at him, but as soon as he spoke, I was just like, that is Billy Baldwin. And he sat there and talked to me for a good half hour. And then Jennifer came down because I had two chairs because I was waiting for Jen to come down. I had two chairs. He was sitting in the chair. She came down and she's like, I think that chair's for me. And I'm like, shut the hell up. Like, this is Billy Baldwin. She had no idea. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. And he got up and walked away. And I'm like, Jen, that was Billy. Like, no, it wasn't. And I'm like, yes, it was. And so actually then later I went up and asked him if I could take my picture with him, because by then he knew that I had figured out who he was, and he's like, sure. But then he wasn't as nice once he knew that I figured out who he was.
That breaks your heart, doesn't it? When you idolize somebody so much and then they turn out to be not so nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Well, that's all I have for Random Randine. Thank you so much, Camille, for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for having me. It was very
Thank
fun.
you so much, Camille. We appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Stay tuned. We will bring you another scleroderma story tomorrow. Happy Scleroderma Awareness Month, everybody. Bye.
Yay.